Most students are extremely concerned because we've been dealing with this issue for many weeks now and far into the last quarter. And we feel that in the many times that we've made efforts to contact different people about the issues, we've met with a lot of resistance. We were first told that it was impossible to have student representation for a committee of any kind. And we've been told even now that even with the committee, that student representation on that is still not possible.
Student input.
But not student representation.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure what the distinction is.
Students serving on the committee.
At this point, the way it is currently set up for all of the colleges, all the writing programs, because there are multiple functions that this group does, not just curriculum, it also has review of personnel and things like that. The way it is set up, there are not faculty, they're not student voting members of them. So that's the way it's set up.
I'd just like to comment generally on the idea of student participation in the committee. Whenever we've got a search committee where we've done hiring, we've had student representation. Whenever there's been a particular focus issue which was non-academic, and it's gone through Dr. Watson's office, hi Joe. We've had student representation and often very broad representation. If we're talking about a truly curricular issue, and the faculty have to govern with that committee.
Students are on the CEP committee for all undergraduate education courses.
What?
Yeah, there's a graduate student and undergraduate students who are members of the committee.
Right.
And so they review the entire curriculum of the entire college, right? So,
Well, the whole university. It's a different structure.
right, university.
University structure.
Well, the question is, do we lose anything by not having a vote? I'm sorry, Alice, if you couldn't hear me earlier. I was just commenting again on the importance of student involvement and how this administration has always involved students whenever possible. We've put students on search committees, we've put them on a number of operational committees with a vote. This issue, however, is an academic issue. It's one that, where the faculty, by their rights as officers and representatives of the university, must make a decision on questions that deal with academic freedom, which are reviewed by the administration, but our shared governance is such that the faculty make that kind of decision. So, in coming to make that kind of decision, the faculty are going to consult very broadly. They will consult with the Office of the Senior Vice-Chancellor for Academic Affairs, they'll consult with the Vice-Chancellor for Student Affairs, they'll consult with my office, they will certainly consult with you. But what we cannot do is take away the faculty's control of the curriculum. That is an inviolate. It's something that comes to us from the Office of the President, as well as our own values at the university. So we have to be ready to adapt and to support the faculty. That will involve a lot of consultation with students at every stage. And that I will pledge to you that before any decision is made, the faculty committee will hear your concerns. I know some of the things have been presented to Vice-Chancellor Chandler in written form, and those have been forwarded to the committee, so they are aware of the issues. Because of my stand in sort of mediating an issue if it can't be resolved at an earlier level, I've stayed away a little bit from the details, so I'm not even sure of the facts now about the assignment of the teaching assistants and so forth. But do recognize that as soon as there's a formal grievance filed and the unions become involved, that makes it much more difficult for the usual kind of discussions to take place. That's the stage we're at with respect to the employment issues, and that's the other place where we are with respect to the faculty.
Could you just clarify, are you saying you don't have any objection to students being on a curriculum committee?
I think that the faculty has to dominate a curriculum committee. If they choose to allow students to come onto the committee for a specific purpose, that would be their choice. But generally, faculty would not do that. Generally, faculty on a curriculum issue dealing with academic freedom would be dominant, would be completely faculty on the committee.
There's a lot of variation. Most departments do not have students on their curriculum committees. I would imagine, given the kind of unusual structure of colleges, there could be a vote among the faculty every faculty member at UCSD is a member of one college or another. And I would imagine that it would be possible, I hadn't thought of that particular route, but it would be possible for the faculty of Thurgood Marshall College to vote on that sort of thing. It just happens that these writing curriculum committees within the colleges were set up in a way that they were faculty committees because it really had to do with particularly for those that have the curriculum, the core courses like that. But I imagine that the faculty, which is the equivalent of a department faculty, could decide that.
Well, I could just add that I'm very pleased to see that the students are so concerned about the curriculum, that you're concerned about the quality of your education and the best way in which that can be delivered. So I applaud you for your dedication in pursuing this issue. I think we need a little more time before we can resolve all the issues, and there's a need for fact-finding, at least I believe there is. And of course the faculty are going to be able to, at my insistence, they will consult with you. I'm quite sure.
There's been a really very clear set of directions given to the faculty committee to seek input not only from undergraduate students but from the faculty who actually teach the doc lecture courses, from teaching assistants, from the faculty of the college.
But you don't have faculty teaching those courses, right?
Oh yes, sure. For instance, in philosophy, Sam Rickless teaches, Bob Cancel has taught sections. Well, I mean, you got to take this over the course of the history of this. I think that is an issue that's an incredibly important issue, and that is ladder-ranked faculty teaching in these courses. And this is a discussion that I am sure will happen with departments and what have you. But there are currently, some have historically.
As you know, was provost.
Yes.
Thurgood Marshall.
A long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. Would you want to add anything to what Mark said?
No, I think the way to address this is to have the faculty committee begin the process, look at the curriculum, have lots of discussions with students. I think it's extremely important that the committee know what students think, and a wide range of students think about the course and what they would like to see in it. The one other thing I think needs to be emphasized is that this course has a number of purposes, including as a writing course, as well as a content course, which makes it particularly challenging.
Well, one thing that we really want to share is that in the entire process that has been going on, while there have been some faculty and some of the administration that have been supportive of our process, despite having hundreds of students sign petitions for their hiring of TAs and hundreds of students sign petitions asking for student representation, there's been very little response, and a lot of this response that we feel that students have gotten has been extremely negative. And so I feel like there's a great need for faculty and administration to really advocate for students and their concerns.
Let me understand a little bit about what your concerns are, what you consider a negative response. From what I understand, the TA negotiations have moved forward to agree. Is that correct?
Yes.
So there's a certain procedure to follow there. And you have appointed a faculty committee specifically for this task.
We have Alan Davis, the provost, appointed it at our direction. Yeah.
I want to say you and then
Academic Affairs. Yeah.
Well, we do actually have someone here today, David from the union, and he wanted to clarify some of the issues that he feels like.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first thing to say is the process is moving forward, and on Friday we have scheduled with Scott and Ben stage 2 of the grievance hearing. It is university policy not to say anything about these kinds of things, but that's not people are allowed to speak about this. When you hear people coming to you and saying you shouldn't be talking about this because there's something going on, that's how you know people are trying to hide something. They're trying to keep people from talking about this. It's not that you can't talk about this, that other people can't talk about this. It's that there's simply a policy that says, no, we're not going to do that. That's a strategy, okay? That's not justice. That's not your education. That's what that is. So people can talk about this. People should be talking about this. So that's a choice.
We don't want to inhibit anybody